Titans of smithing and the minecart industry, dwarves are one of the many races to inhabit Gielinor. They are mainly found in Keldagrim, the capital city, and also the city of Lovakengj and Great Kourend, but they're also present in various mines and settlements all across Gielinor, harbouring no hate for anyone. Well, apart from the Red Axe. Dwarves are similar to gnomes in height, but slightly taller and more stocky, but they have lengthier lifespans compared to humans. Short in temper, they're very fond of ale and kebabs, like our lovely friend that we've come to know and love, but they are widely known for their specialisms in blacksmithing, mining and craftsmanship. The culture is mostly known for feasting, sparring and songs of deeds that happened long ago, but the capital of Keldagrim is highly advanced and has many industrial works, banks and trading corporations. To that end, dwarves love gold and value it very, very highly, often being portrayed as greedy, but that's not always the case. After all, their people are ruled by merchants and bureaucrats. Most activities are literally based around the acquisition of wealth, but then again, what society isn't nowadays? Though they aren't staunchly religious, they are Guthixian in nature, most likely because they were one of the first races brought through to Gielinor by Guthics, but they don't really pray or worship the sleeping god. There are a sect of dwarves in the wilderness known as the Chaos Dwarves, who worship Zamorak, as well as the Imcando Dwarves who worship Saradomin. To finish off about their culture and technology, they're often seen as being more advanced than humans and gnomes, as is demonstrated in their minecart system, dwarf multi-cannons and their blast furnace. We've got to get those smithing gains somehow. Their history is relatively similar to the gnomes in the sense of them coming to Gielinor, flourishing, and then hiding due to the God Wars. But during the first age, it's believed they lived in villages peacefully alongside many other races, just as humans did. In the second age, a group of Imcando Dwarves dedicated themselves to Saradomin, straying from their initial belief in Guthics. But we'll get to the Imcando Dwarves in the next section. When the God Wars began, an event that took up the entirety of the third age, most of the dwarves retreated underground and adapted to living there, establishing a city that would soon become their capital, Keldagrim, whilst other sect of dwarves fled west into Kourend to form the city of Lovakengj. The history of Keldagrim can be divided into at least 3 periods, most of which take place in the 4th age. They include the Era of Kings, the rise of a consortium, and the Era of Prosperity. The Era of Kings, also known as the Age of Kings, was when Keldagrim was ruled by a monarch, and it began at some point after the city's founding and lasted over 1,000 years. Steam power was not fully developed by the dwarves at this time, so it was very difficult for them to acquire enough food to feed the city. This era is often referred to as the Dark Days, as the dwarves had no contact with the surface until the reign of King Alvis. After his victory against the troll invasion, the dwarves cautiously re-established contact, and their relationship to humans was initially hostile, and humans dared to not go underground for fear of dwarven aggression. The rise of the consortium was marked by the end of King Alvis' reign roughly 500 years ago. The king founded the consortium, an assembly of the city's mining corporations, to aid the monarchy, but it ended up supplanting it entirely. By the time of the king's death, the monarchy was effectively abolished, and at some point in time later, the Era of Prosperity began, which is the current period. After the consortium came to power, the steam engine was fully developed over the next few centuries, which allowed them to develop the minecart network, which was steam powered, so Keldagrim could procure food for their citizens. The Imcando Dwarves are an ancient clan of dwarves related to ordinary dwarves. They once inhabited Camdozal, a now ruined city below Ice Mountain, but were believed to be extinct after the rune crafting crusades. Up to their destruction, the Imcando tribes were particularly skilled in smithing weaponry and possibly mining. For many hundreds of years, they were the world's most renowned smiths. The techniques used by the Imcando were secret and passed down from generation to generation, and any devices created by them are very hard to replicate. The Imcando once lived in the great city of Imcandoria in the far north, and towards the end of the Second Age, the city fell after a mysterious malevolent entity killed the inhabitants, and with no home to return to, the remaining Imcando Dwarves were promised a new home by Saradomin, who would have his forces, including the Imcando Dwarves, lay siege to Lassar, and he granted the Imcando Dwarves a new settlement in the ruins of the fortress. Led by Yonrith Lovakengj, a sect of Saradominus forces marched upon Lassar and destroyed it in one of many attacks on the Zarosian Empire. Once the Zarosian forces had been driven out, the Imcando Dwarves set to build their new city, naming it Camdozal. After some time of settling into Camdozal, Arav, after meeting Zamoragul in the Dreamland, was sent by his village's elders to find the mythical Shield of Arav in the possession of the Imcando Dwarves in Camdozal. After wandering through what would later become Asgarnia, Arav settled at the foot of the mountain, where he was greeted by several Imcando. Despite their refusals of knowing about the shield, Arav stayed with them, hoping to gain their trust. After spending many days with the Imcando Dwarves and learning their arts of mining and smithing, he was given the shield. Camdozal would remain as the prosperous home of the Imcando Dwarves until the early 5th Age, when a faction of Fremennik sought to destroy any users of magic in the runecrafting crusades. With their inclusion of magic and dwarven smithing techniques, as well as experimentation with golems, left over from the Zarosian era, the Fremenniks turned their weapons towards Camdozal, and the Imcandos, believing their weapons to be strong enough to repel the invasion, were ultimately wiped out, and today they are largely believed to be extinct, with Romano and Thergo being the sole remaining Imcando Dwarves on the mainland. I'm not going to include Kettler, though there is speculation that there are more Imcando Dwarves beneath the Avium Savannah. We are involved in the dwarven activities of the 5th Age to a slight degree, namely through 2 quests that we can access in-game, the Giant Dwarf and Forgettable Tale of a Drunken Dwarf. We'll start with the first. The Dwarves of Keldagrim opened up their city for the first time since the God Wars. The quest starts when we enter the city. We take a boat to cross the River Kelda and accidentally break the statue of King Alvis after the boatman claims to lose control over the boat, and we have to repair the statue, which requires some clothes, an axe and some boots. We can actually choose to join any company of the consortium except for the Red Axe, namely because they don't accept humans. And after doing some work for any of the companies, we can join them and even go with them to a consortium meeting, where the company directors discuss about the statue and the head that should be carved onto it. The Red Axe director argues that his head should be carved on the statue because his company is the largest and the wealthiest. But we don't care and we interject, stating that our chosen company's director should be the one who should be on there. The Red Axe director does not like this. He becomes furious and leaves the meeting, while shouting at everyone that they will regret this. Then after some time, we move on to the Forgettable Tale of a Drunken Dwarf. The Red Axe director left the city and took the whole Red Axe Corporation with him. Commander Veldabin, the head of the Black Guard, asks us to find out what his further plans are, and the only clue he has is the Drunken Dwarf. In order to get the Drunken Dwarf's secrets, we need to brew him some Kelda Stout. We find 4 of his friends to get Kelda seeds, plant those seeds, farm them into Kelda hops, and then brew them into the stout. Once we give the Drunken Dwarf his drink, he tells us about a boarded up minecart trail. We speak to our company director and have the boards removed, and then we take the minecart. We solve a short minecart puzzle, and then we arrive in a cave where we see a conversation between the Red Axe director, an ogre shaman, and a henchman. And we find out that the Red Axe had paid the boatman to crash into the statue of the Giant Dwarf. After solving a few more puzzles, we land into a storeroom where we find some interesting documents about the Red Axe. And finally, after one last puzzle, we enter a cave where we see the Red Axe director, the henchman, and some gnomes from Arposandra. They are discussing some experiments, and the director presents an army of Chaos Dwarves to the gnome emissary. We want to return to tell Veldabin what we saw, but an ogre shaman finds us and erases our memory of what we've seen. We find ourselves at the entrance of the same minecart trail, which is once again boarded up, without any memory of the Red Axe's plans. Once we see Veldabin again, we explain to him that we want a kebab, and we go to the Laughing Miner pub, all in a day's work. And while the questline is ongoing in OSRS, it's finished over in RuneScape 3, with 3 more quests being in the game. Forgiveness of a Chaos Dwarf, King of the Dwarves, and Birthright of the Dwarves. Whilst they won't spoil what happens in these quests, let's just say that it involves a lot of kidnapping, Chaos Dwarves, a fake Keldagrim, and a new Dwarven King. That being one of 3 choices, so pretty fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do like and subscribe, it'll help the channel a lot. This was a quick bit of lore as I'm recovering from surgery at the time of editing this, but I've got something really exciting coming for the next video, so make sure you have notifications turned on. But as always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.